Hello, good people. It is time for a bit more Bard. It has been a while, and that is all on me. Uh, I gotta say, my kids came to town. First, my son spent a few weeks with me, and then my daughter. And I have not seen them since the lockdown, since COVID happened. And I gotta say, my focus has just been all the way over on them, enjoying them, helping them get ready for college, etc. And I'm afraid William Shakespeare took a back seat. So I'm still excited because we're getting to the big action movie part of this play. This is when the play just fractures and more than anything else resembles a Hollywood blockbuster action film. Very short scenes with jumping from location to location. I've said it before, but this more than anything else is why you can't have a bunch of sets when you produce the play. You do not have time to change out set pieces. This is when the play picks up pace. It's got to be really fast. And so, when we left at last, Macbeth fell all the way down into his own personal hell. He can't even feel sad about the fact that his wife just committed suicide. He's dead inside. And he gets the news that Birnam Wood has risen up and the forest is walking toward his castle, which is the witches told him that he didn't have anything to fear until Birnam Wood walked to his castle, and he had no fear. He didn't need to fear any man that was born of a woman. And he thought, well, that means I'm safe. And then suddenly, Birnam Wood is seen walking toward his castle. Of course, that is Malcolm having told his troops to cut off branches and trees and camouflage themselves as they make their way toward Macbeth's castle. And so that freaks him out. But all is not lost. He's still holding on to the last piece of this prophecy that the witches gave him, which is that he is not going to be killed by anyone born of a woman. And so he's safe. So we are in scene 7, act 5. And it is Malcolm basically telling his troops, Malcolm, who is to be the new king of Scotland, if all goes well, son of Duncan, who was murdered by Macbeth, to start this whole thing off. And he tells his troops to lay down all of the branches and everything, get ready for war. And he sends out the English general that was loaned to him by the English king, Seward. And he says, Seward, you and your battle-hardened son, you lead the charge and attack the castle. I'm going to stay back and take care of everything else. Seward says, rightio, let's go. And that's basically the scene. It's a very short scene, half a page. And then scene 7, act 5, we see Macbeth on the battlefield kicking ass. Basically, when we met him at the beginning of the play, he was described as the best warrior in Scotland, and we're seeing he has not lost his edge. He is just laying waste to people with a sword, and he pauses and says, "They have tied me to a stake. I cannot fly, but bear-like I must fight the course." They used to do bear baiting back then, and that was when you would tie a bear to a stake in a chain and then fight it. And if the bear got the upper hand, you could always get away from it and regroup. But it was a safe way to fight a bear. And he's feeling like that bear right now. But he says, what's he that was not born of woman? Such a one am I to fear or none. So he's kind of saying, I'm kind of screwed here. But I do have this prophecy. And then young Seward, the battle-hardened son of the English general, finds Macbeth, and he says, "What is thy name?" Macbeth says, "Thou'll be afraid to hear it." The young man says, "No, though thou callest thyself a hotter name than any is in hell." Macbeth says, "My name's Macbeth." Young Seward says, The devil himself could not pronounce a title more hateful to mine ear. Macbeth replies, no, nor more fearful. Young Seward says, thou liest, abhorrent tyrant. With my sword I'll prove the lie thou speakst. And they fight. And the young man loses. And Macbeth disembowels him. Macbeth looks down at the corpse and says, thou wast born of woman. But swords I smile at, weapons laugh to scorn, brandished by a man that's of a woman born. And so he's proved again to himself, he has nothing to fear, and he keeps fighting. Then Macduff enters. Macduff, our Captain America, so to speak. He's a great fighter, a straight-ahead good guy. Not devious enough maybe to be king, but a good man anyway. And he says, he's looking for Macbeth. And he says, that way the noise is, tyrant, show thy face. If thou beest slain, tyrant being Macbeth. He's hunting for Macbeth. If thou beest slain with no strokes of mine, my wife and children's ghosts will haunt me still. So he's saying, if anyone but me kills this guy, I'll never be able to sleep again. I cannot strike at wretched kerns whose arms are hired to bear their staves. So he can't be fighting the Irishman who apparently Macbeth has hired to protect the castle. They've been hired. They're just there for money. He can't kill those people. Either thou, Macbeth, or else my sword with an unbattered edge I sheathe again undeeded. So I'm not even going to take my sword out until I find this guy. There thou should be, by this great clatter, one of the greatest note seems bruited. Let me find him, fortune, the more I beg not. So basically, he's just praying. He says, God, let me find Macbeth, and I'll never ask you for anything ever again. Then he exits. More alarms, more battle. Seward comes in. He doesn't know that his son's been killed yet. He's the general that is commanding the army that's attacking Macbeth's castle, and he just is talking with Malcolm. And Seward says, "This way, my lord. The castle's gently rendered. The tyrant's people on both sides do fight. The noble thanes do bravely in the war. The day almost itself possesses yours, and little is to do." Malcolm says, "We have met with foes that strike beside us." Seward says, enter, sir, the castle. So basically, Seward is like, okay, invasion went great. In fact, a lot of the people that were fighting us are now on our side. It's okay for you, who was hanging back, Malcolm, the new king, hopefully. It's safe now for you to enter the castle. Basically, we've won. But the fighting isn't completely over. And now we're into scene 8. Again, this is all flying really fast. Macbeth is still out on the battlefield. He has not given up, even though all is lost. We just learned that. And he pauses he's a death machine, but he pauses to say, "Why should I play the Roman fool and die on my own sword? Whilst I see lives, the gashes do better upon them." So he knows all is lost, but he's still going to continue to kill people. He's going to go out like Scarface, man. He's going to go out in a blaze of glory. Macduff finally finds him. Macduff enters, says, "Turn, hellhound, turn." Macbeth sees him and quails a bit, and he says, "Of all men else I have avoided thee, but get thee back. My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already." By that he means, I had sent murderers out to kill your family. I don't want to kill you. Just go away. Macduff says, "I have no words. My voice is in my sword. Thou bloodier villain than terms can give thee out." And they fight. And it's pretty much an even match. And they pause for a bit, and Macbeth says, "Thou losest labor. As easy mayest thou the entrenchant air with thy keen sword impress as to make me bleed. Let let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to one of woman born. So he is telling Macduff, dude, get out of here. I'm going to kill you. I cannot fall. Macduff says, despair thy charm, and let the angel whom thou still hast served tell thee, Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped. So, Macduff was born of a Caesarean section. Caesarean meaning Caesar. Caesar was also born that way, so he was not a woman born. He was untimely ripped from his mother's womb. And there's another one of these huge implied pauses. And Macbeth says, accursed be that tongue that tells me so, for it hath cowed my better part of man. And be these juggling fiends no more believed, that palter with us in a double sense, that keep the word of promise to our ear and break it to our hope. I'll not fight with thee. And Macduff says, then yield thee, coward, and live to be a show and gaze of the time. We'll have thee, as our rarer monsters are, painted upon a pole and underwrit, here may you see the tyrant. So Macduff is like, oh, fine, be my prisoner. We're all gonna, you're not gonna enjoy being behind bars. And Macbeth says, I will not yield to kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet and to be baited with the rabble's curse. Though Birnam wood do come to Dunsinane, and thou opposed being of no woman born, yet I will try to the last. Before my body I throw my warlike shield. Lay on, Macduff, and damned be him that first cries, hold, enough. And this is one of the reasons why Macbeth is watchable. Even as he's going to hell, he is not going to give up. He's going to fight to the last. When he hears that Malcolm tells him, well, fine, we'll just humiliate you for the rest of your life. He's like, you know what? Screw that. I'm not down for that. Even though I've been lied to by the witches, even though Birnam wood came, even though I know I'm about to die, screw it. I'm fighting. It's basically suicide by Macduff. And he even throws his shield away and fights with the Scottish swords are very big, and they're even deadlier. If you drop your shield and go double-handed, it's a very, very offensive weapon. Not offensive as in, you may be hurting my feelings. It's a very deadly offensive weapon. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go total offense. I'm going to lay into you. So he throws his shield down and lays into him. And they exit fighting. And that is where we'll leave it for now. And I hope to God that I don't forget to come back to you next week and finish up the play. I know this is a long video, but I wanted to kind of make up for the fact that I had been so long away. Yes, and when next we meet, shall be the end of it. The end of the play and the end of Macbeth. Thank you for sticking with me. I really am passionate about this play, but I'm also passionate about my children. I beg your forgiveness.